Anything Cricket, Let's Talk is brought to you by Rascals Barbados, My Kind of Beauty, and the Calvary Institute. Welcome to Anything Cricket, Let's Talk, coming to you from Rascals Barbados, located on Brandon's Beach, just off the mighty Granite Highway. Without further ado, let's go right across to Wayne Holder, who has some very special guests for you.
I am joined by Terry Inniss, popularly known in basketball circles as a former national player and also a former president of the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association. But there are those of us who know him as a budding cricketer in his younger days, and he would have played at the highest local level before he retired at a very young age. Let's leave it at that. We also have Mrs. Amanda Reifer, who is the head of the Academy of Sport at the University of the West Indies in KFL, and who is also very heavily involved in the cricket program there. And then to my immediate right, Mr. Pedro Greaves, who is the secretary treasurer of the Wildy Sports Club and still an active cricketer. One notices he's been, I don't want to use the word demoted, I think he stepped down from playing at the elite level, now playing his trade in the intermediate division. But both Pedro and Amanda are first-time candidates in the upcoming Barbados Cricket Association's elections, which come up on the August 14th. We'll be hearing. So both of you, welcome to you, Amanda. Welcome to you,
Thank you.
Pedro.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, and Amanda.
Brought to you by Rascals Barbados, My Kind of Beauty, and the Calvary Institute. Welcome to Anything Cricket, Let's Talk, coming to you from Rascals Barbados, located on Brandon's Beach, just off the mighty Granite Highway. Without further ado, let's go right across to Wayne Holder, who has some very special guests for you.
I am joined by Terry Inniss, popularly known in basketball circles as a former national player and also a former president of the Barbados Amateur Basketball Association. But there are those of us who know him as a budding cricketer in his younger days, and he would have played at the highest local level before he retired at a very young age. Let's leave it at that. We also have Mrs. Amanda Reifer, who is the head of the Academy of Sport at the University of the West Indies in KFL, and who is also very heavily involved in the cricket program there. And then to my immediate right, Mr. Pedro Greaves, who is the secretary treasurer of the Wildy Sports Club and still an active cricketer. One notices he's been, I don't want to use the word demoted, I think he stepped down from playing at the elite level, now playing his trade in the intermediate division. But both Pedro and Amanda are first-time candidates in the upcoming Barbados Cricket Association's elections, which come up on the August 14th. We'll be hearing. So both of you, welcome to you, Amanda. Welcome to you,
Thank you.
Pedro.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, and Amanda, the University of the West West Indies, you would have heard a lot of the discussion that has gone so far. And the University of the West Indies have made themselves into very major players in cricket, both in the active playing of cricket and, of course, in the administration. Your foray, though, into the Barbados Cricket Association, what would have driven you to want to serve at that level, at the administrative level locally?
Thank you for that question, Wayne. Well, firstly, from a personal standpoint and a family standpoint, my husband, Floyd Reifer, who is currently the interim coach of the West Indies team, played for Barbados for 16 years with distinction. I would say Pedro, with distinction. And cricket is certainly a very important part of our household. We pay homage to this sport. My husband is where he is today because of it. And so when you recognize how important a sport is, firstly to my husband and then for me as a Barbadian and then a sport administrator, I felt very moved at this point in time to put my name in the hat. As a sport administrator, I have worked with many programs at the university, from conceptualizing ideas to implementation. And I heard our previous guest talk about implementation, and that is a critical thing, because it's okay to have an idea or identify problems, but how do we solve it, and then how do we implement? And I believe that skill set I possess. In addition to that, Wayne, I have a vast network of colleagues around the world at universities and in high performance systems and environments that I tap into for my projects at the university. One such being Pace Like Fire, which is a fast bowling sports science project that we're undergoing now. We just recently welcomed 2 biomechanists to KFL campus from South Africa and Germany to help us with the sports science aspect of our project. And these are all things that we will be rolling out very shortly. But in terms of the BCA, I'm a Barbadian, and I'm a sports administrator, and I believe that I have a very significant contribution to make to the development and progression of the Barbados Cricket Association from an implementation and solution standpoint, and a high performance, understanding what is required for high performance, and understanding structure and understanding how to implement such.
BCA University, 2 separate entities. How do you propose a marriage between these 2 organizations?
As the head of the Academy of Sport in this capacity for the last 5 years, I have been trying to establish a more formal memorandum of understanding with the BCA, unsuccessfully so. We have negotiated, I should say this to you, Wayne, MOUs with the Barbados Football Association, Caribbean Football Union, even FIFA. And we are having several discussions with the Barbados Olympic Association on how the university can play a role. Let me also state that the university's remit and mandate is one mandate: to serve the people of the region and institutions in the region. That's the only mandate we have. And so it is, for me, disappointing that to this day, we have not been able to establish a memorandum of understanding with the BCA. And it is not for lack of trying, Wayne. Hopefully, if I'm successful and the membership believe that they believe in through their vote that I have a contribution to make, we can change that dynamic. Because essentially, if you look around the world, and we talked about, Terry asked the question about we're not producing any world-class players. Why are we not producing them? Because they're not in academies. We have no academy in the entire region. The only academy we had was shut down, the HPC at KFL campus. So whereas we have young people coming through and under 13 right through these academies across the world, and mind you, these academies and these associations, English Cricket Board, Australia Cricket Board, India Cricket Board, all of them are attached. Pedro and I were talking about that recently. Attached to universities for a reason, because universities is where knowledge is, research is, development is happening, and we don't have to pay for that, and you don't want to embrace that, we have a problem. So academies, a relationship with university, I work there, but it's more than that. It's understanding that knowledge is power, and that's how you start to change the system that some of your guests were talking about tonight.
Pedro, this is where you come in. You are an administrator at the club level here in Barbados, it is perceived that there is some disconnect between the regular clubs and the UV setup. If that is true, or do you find that to be true? And if so, could you tell me why?
Yes. This question actually came up earlier tonight, and the general consensus is that we believe that the university is about development, and therefore we will want them to let it be 4 to 5 years whereby a player goes there, and then allow them, those players who've gained the knowledge, discipline at UV, to then filter back into the club structure to improve club life in Barbados. It would then allow new people going into the university then to get an opportunity to grasp the same benefits that those persons before would have gotten. But at the same time, what we said is that UV sets the standard, and it is not so much from my understanding that people are against UV, because UV sets the standard, and it doesn't make any sense setting your standard against a club that is getting demoted or struggling to get players or what the case be. UV has set a standard that we have to emulate, whereby we want to be, and discipline is at the front of that. When we go on to some clubs, then we see that there's not as much discipline, and staff was spoke to that before in terms of practice sessions, so to speak. So we have to get to that stage whereby we are disciplined and looking to be professional, even in an amateur setup.
Do you perceive, though, that there is a crisis as far as the club involvement in local cricket is concerned?
I would not call it a crisis, but what I would say is something that definitely needs to be addressed in terms of what we look at, our entire product. And it goes back, we want to look at the junior programs, the junior cricket and youth development. You want to look, and a simple, I remember a time making a recommendation for a Groundsman of the Year award. Now, the Groundsman of the Year award, we have a situation whereby you're losing groundsmen in the system. A Groundsman of the Year award is going to give an incentive, and this will be given at the BCA annual awards. So they're part of that. The Groundsman of the Year award is going to ensure now that we have better pitches that will drive competition, because we want better competition and strong competition. What we have right now sometimes is too many players playing in the top division, so to speak. What we want then is a more competitive cricket, the structure on a whole, so that we can produce that competitive player at the next level. It doesn't even start at the elite division or the first division. It starts at the junior cricket then from the schools. So we have some excellent coaches right now. The Roddy Aspects who's gone on. Then you have Nemo Wayne, you have Barry Ford from QC. You have these players who are Peter Phillips, because Lodge would be the first team, but Alexandra, but Lodge afterwards would have been promoted to the first division as well, and they've been doing well and bringing through players right through. But the point is that we need to look at the systems and how we can help those schools, because they're very people who actually start the cricketers off first. So it doesn't make sense coming in the back end. We want to see how we can assist these schools then going forward. There's a center of excellence that we heard about, and that is at the BCA at the Kensington Oval. But it's been difficult for a guy to get from St. Lucie or from a lodge to the BCA on evenings. So do we look at having one at St. James Secondary? Do we look at having one at Denton Griffith? So these are things and ideas that we need to look at in terms of getting the youth involved in a more professional setup from early, where we have proper discipline. And because as Stanford said, there are some schools who actually don't actually pay that much attention to cricket. There are some corporate persons in Barbados companies that don't pay that much attention to cricket. So we as the BCA, we as the membership, we as the people driving the clubs must find a way to actually bring back that passion and bring back that competitiveness.
And do you see a need, though, it was mentioned earlier in the discussion, a need for maybe a look at making some transformations in the system of governance in local cricket?
Yes, it was mentioned before, and I believe that, as you said, people, Mr. Wallace mentioned it, people need to be accountable. It doesn't make sense to be going on and doing the same thing and then, nothing happens. We've been saying the same things over and over, but it's all about implementation. So you must be judged solely on what you have achieved and the results at the end of the day.
Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal. Rascals, on the mighty Grinder Highway. Call 538-9990. For expert tuition, call the Calvary Institute. We offer classes at primary and secondary level. Our adult programs include floral arranging, jewelry making, crochet, knitting, sewing, photography, conversational Spanish, and more. Check out our summer special in video editing. Phone 232-2109. The Calvary Institute on Wilmot Street.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
Welcome back. When we broke, Pedro was addressing a question put by Terry concerning the non-academic cricketer. Pedro?
Right, yeah, so they're talking about courses such as the Carnegie course, etc. And the thing about it is that the owners must not always, yes, as administrators we can put things in place, but sometimes the players who must take some sort of responsibility. And we've had situations whereby some players say, no, they don't want to do a program or whatever, but some people must recognize that there's a need. Everyone is every day you learn something new. So it's all about learning and putting things to make a better all-round individual so you can handle the challenges on and off the field and the pressures that come with it. In terms now of the resources that you need, so to speak, it's high time that we have indoor facilities, or at least two, whereby that these players can look to go then outside of the short window they have after work, whatever the case may be, at the clubs from say 4 to 5:30 to get there. But indoor facilities can actually keep those players active and practicing before repetition.
Yeah. So you're eventually positions on the BC, right? Right. So I am on record saying that we have not to do certain activities. No, I didn't say that, but I did some research. I heard also that the players are now short, microwave players, they want everything out of cricket, right? But we are not nominating people in cricket, right? So there's going to be something wrong. They can't be the fact is the format. There's something wrong when even the short format we are not being dominated. The other thing is, I heard on another cricket show that's not as good as this one, that we going to win a World Cup. We had to qualify for the World Cup, and we didn't even win the qualifier. So how we can win the World Cup, right? So my question to you now is, how are you going to change people that have been on a board forever and they're not really seeing what you're seeing? Because I know how it is when you're in an organization and you're looking in 21st century and still people still back in 1999. So my thing is, how are you going to change that? And you all could take your own time.
You want to go first?
It is, we have a situation where and I have the privilege of working at an administrative level with the clubs. So I know what the issues are with the clubs. And I've also had the opportunity to sit on some subcommittees at the BCA, club assistance, rules and regulations, etc. So what I'm saying here is that we still need, obviously, to have a balance of people who've been there, who've been tested, who've been through it, and then guys who are coming in, man and myself, there are some other people who are running, etc., to get an opportunity then to bring these new ideas. And the new ideas are not as revolutionary as what people are saying, because they're all being taught. There's nothing new under the sun. It's all about implementation. So basically, that's what I'm saying. It's about implementation.
That's a very good question, Terry.
Thank you.
the membership decides what they want. And these platforms, and I thank the organizers of this show for inviting us to be able to share our ideas. The reality is in the Caribbean, and I'm not just speaking about cricket, in the sporting world, Caribbean specific, where I traverse different disciplines, there is a significant challenge in persons stepping away and stepping down. We have a challenge with that. It's a reality. So therefore you would find people serving for 20 years, 25 years, a long time. And it's not their fault. It's sometimes people don't step forward to run. I know there's a culture of sitting back and complaining and hoping that something changes. So it's really heartening to see the number of candidates that have put their name in the hat, some young, some older, that are going out there to say, I am serving. No, the question is, you have 9 members total, and it's a situation where if we get on, which we're hoping to get on, we have to traverse very lightly, because you have to understand the environment. You don't go in there gun-ho, guns blazing. You have to understand the environment and so forth. But I believe that if enough of the newbies get on with the passion that you would have heard from Pedro tonight and the ideas coming through, we are ready to work, and in different areas, and we have different skill sets, and we have different focuses. For example, Pedro's is very, very focused on the club development and general development, but you can see Pedro's thrust is that. My thrust is from a strategic standpoint. I believe that there needs to be a lot more strategic direction. I'm not quite clear on the vision of the BCA, and as somebody that's come out of an organization where vision and mission guides everything that we do, I am not clear at this point in time what the vision is. So my focus will be on strategy implementation, looking at what resources we have. We mentioned the indoor cricket school. Do you know that the BCA has land up at Wildy for the last 20-something years that they've done nothing with? Absolutely nothing. I have somewhat of a finance background. I'm not an investor, but I know that that's an asset, and I know that you can borrow that asset, and I know that you can get drawings done with the resources that we have. So I'm saying that we have to hold people accountable for what they have done and what their track record has been. And we have to be honest, and we have to be able to say honestly within ourselves and looking at the candidates, what have you done? Honestly. And I know it sounds like I know when you don't normally hear these things coming out, people's mouth, but I'm just speaking the truth. Accountability, and if and when I get on, because I'm very hopeful, I want you, Terry, to hold me accountable, to say, Amanda, what have you done in the last year? And that's where we have to get. We have to be honest with ourselves as an institution and as individuals. And that's where we need to go. So we are going to have to push our thrust as we get in, and as hopefully more and more people will feel empowered and emboldened to come and actually run and put some pressure on these people that have been there for many, many years.
Rascals Barbados. Let us serve you in a relaxed atmosphere with complimentary Wi-Fi, or try a takeout meal. Rascals on the mighty Grinder Highway. Call 538-9990. For expert tuition, call the Calvary Institute. We offer classes at primary and secondary level. Our adult programs include floral arranging, jewelry making, crochet, knitting, sewing, photography, conversational Spanish, and more. Check out our summer special in video editing. Phone 232-2109. The Calvary Institute in Woodland Street.
Healing, nourishing, restoring. Amazing products, essential to provide healthy skin. My kind of beauty. Let it be yours.
That's our show. Thanks for watching. Join us again soon for another episode of Anything Cricket, Let's Talk.